Hello, friends. Bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Colo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulse on social media.
Hi, everyone. On today's episode, Jen explains protection magic.
Welcome to the show. Grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share. You'll never feel alone.
How are you doing? We are over our 100th episode. How exciting. I know this episode comes out in November, but because we need to get a little bit of time ahead of us and make sure we have a good schedule, we are actually recording this in October.
Yes. Yeah, a little Hollywood magic.
Yes, and we had a really good weekend. We went to the Pumpkin Festival in Half Moon Bay, and it was a lot of fun, right?
The largest pumpkin was 2,500 pounds.
Yeah, it was really big, but it was kind of squished. And so
It was long.
It was long.
Yeah.
It threw me off because I definitely was expecting it to be like big and round, kind of like Cinderella, where the mice like have the carriage. But
Or James and the Giant Peach with a huge peach.
Yes, but to me it almost looked like it was melting. And we, when I saw it, I was like, I thought it would be bigger. We saw it on the parade. So they had a parade, and I noticed that I hadn't been to a parade in a very long time.
It was so much fun because we went with a friend who has a child.
Yes.
And to see the childlike wonder was so great.
Yes.
We were like, fire truck, another fire truck. His thing is trucks right now.
It was wonderful. Yes. Shout out Carolyn. Thank you so much for spending the day with us. And we had a really good time. It is still October for us, so we're still kind of in that like fall mood, but this is coming out in November. So I'm trying to get the gears churning ahead a little bit. But we have a very interesting topic today. Do you want to talk about what we're going to be discussing?
Yes, protection magic, which is interesting because our 100th episode just came out, and I had to look through all of the titles because I wasn't sure if we already did a protection magic episode or not. So to my surprise, we have not. And I was wondering, why haven't we done this? It is something fundamental. So here we are.
I think what it is that we have talked about it a lot. We've mentioned it and we've explained certain concepts, but we haven't had a specific one dedicated to this topic. And what I'm excited about is that we used to do more topics about pragmatic things. So, for example, in the glamour magic or the days of the week, and I think those were like single digit things that we did, or single digit episodes. So this was a long time ago. I noticed that recently we have been steering away more from doing things that you're able to explain a concept and then also explain the practice of the concept. So for example, with the days of the week episode, you gave really good examples of how on certain days it's better to do certain things because whatever magic power is more present during that time, it's like better suited for different days. So this is one of those episodes where you will be sharing a lot of pragmatic information and how-tos and things of that nature.
These topics and these practices are not lonely islands. They weave together, so you will hear many references to previous episodes, but we will just focus on protection magic today. So what is protection magic? Protection magic is in the name. It is to protect yourself. There are so many ways to do it, so many different practices and thought systems, but we will break it down into mainly preventative and reactionary. I feel like those are the two big buckets
That's what the people want to know. The people want to know, how do I protect myself from all the shit out there? And then if something does hit the fan, how do I react to it? When we came up with this topic, the first thing I thought of was that meme that is it's that like little kid that's like, I'm protected by the power of anime and Jesus Christ. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah, I have. It's really funny.
But let's get into it. Yeah, so you already mentioned we're going to do preventative and proactive, but what are some of the things that would lead someone to even consider analyzing or practicing these things?
I will start with my personal journey. I have generalized anxiety disorder. I have a diagnosis. I'm not diagnosing myself on the internet like many folks right now. It is a diagnosis that I have, and I feel like Protection Magic has really helped to curb some of the generalized anxiety that is just a part of me. So for the anxious baddies out there, maybe that's why it'll help curb some of these feelings. But for most people, I think, who doesn't want the most prosperity, abundance, the best life possible? And in order to have that, you do need an edge or an element of protection.
And talking about linking to previous episodes, what you just mentioned really reminded me of the shadow work episode, because like we say during this episode, and how you specifically have your practice, a lot of it is doing the work, and it's not necessarily the spells or the incantations or the magics. It's following through with that. So, for example, if you're doing a tarot reading, you will follow what the cards say, but at the end of the day, like, it's up to you to determine what you do with that information, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that also reminds me of a client that I had, I want to say a few months ago, who I let her know based on what I saw in the astrology and in the tarot cards that she should beef up her protection magic and her protection rituals. Her concern was, I don't want to do any baneful magic, which is like hexing and basically going after people. And I let her know protection magic is not baneful magic, because baneful magic is like going after somebody, and protective magic is to protect yourself and your peace. There are elements of like banishing, for example, that might come with reactionary protection magic, but at that point you didn't start it, but you're going to finish it.
Yes. And yeah. I can see why the confusion is there, because like you said, you're not going out of your way. It's almost like a mousetrap, right? It's out there. Well, I guess that's not a good example, because with mousetraps you are trying to catch them, but you are protecting yourself, and you're not necessarily trying to cause harm or inflict damage. And your way of doing that is by doing the protective magic, like we talked about, or we're about to talk about. One thing that I do remember, and I don't know if you are going to talk about this, but I can't remember if it was Vanna or Janet, which wonderful guests that we've had on our podcast. You did a reading for them. And this was kind of when y'all were first getting to know each other, and you were having a difficult time, like, focusing a reading. I think it was Janet.
It was Janet.
And she was
yes.
like, oh, girl, I have so much protection magic on me that, like, it is really hard for people to read my cards. But somehow, I don't know if she let her defenses down, or your magic is so powerful that you were able to get through.
She had to break down some of her firewalls, so to speak. Yes.
But that was really interesting. Can you share maybe a little bit more about that specific example?
Yes. So when I read tarot and I tap into people's energy, the best way I can describe it is my head has like an antenna, and I am like looking for the signal.
You would have an antenna.
With her, I know, right? With Janet, it was like no signal. It's like a cell phone when you're like, where are the bars? Where are the bars? That's how it felt like. And yeah, I didn't know Janet as well as I do now when this happened. I was like, your protection magic is very strong. This has never happened to me before where you're just like a ghost. You have a VPN on your energy.
And she validated
She
it, right?
did. She said, yes, I do.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's a great protection magic expert. But let's go into preventative protection magic, which is to prevent something from happening. It is something that people may do on a daily basis, weekly basis. This is nothing has happened, but I don't want anything to happen. I don't want to fuck around and find out. I want to keep my life as good as it is or even better.
I guess Janet's example is something of that nature, right? Because you had no ill harm against her, but her barriers were just up as a protection. So
Just in case.
Yeah, so even like the good intentions were filtered out. She had to adjust the magic, correct?
So you just never know where you're going to come across negative energy. It could be a random hater, road rage. It could be someone that you already know you don't get along with. It could just be bad luck or unfortunate circumstances. You just want to protect yourself from everything. I would say that the best preventative magic is common sense.
Yeah.
Like, don't, go into an alley by yourself at 3 a.m. Don't have your wallet sticking out. Just basic things like that. So after you've taken the common sense precautions, then you can go into the preventative protection magic. Some of the more common ones that span across practices, even into like Christianity, prayers and intentions. Just saying a prayer to whoever you pray to, or if you don't pray to anyone, just setting the intention. I will be fine. I will be protected. Nothing bad will happen to me. Or again, if it's to a specific deity or energy, just being like, God, watch over me. Hermes, make sure I drive okay. Ancestors, watch me wherever I go. So
you talked about people and intentions, and maybe I have this wrong or you can touch on it, but also preventing places that you don't know the, I guess, quote unquote energy. For example, our studio, when we first moved in, you did a very, I would say, intense and intentional cleansing. Is that protection magic?
Yes, it is. So, if you're moving into a new place, if you get a new cubicle, whatever, clean it first, which we've done cleanses episode. That's 45 minutes of just cleanses, so you can check it out. But once you clean it, and then you cleanse it, it's protected. It's set with your intentions. Like, now that it's clean, now that it's cleansed, it's a blank slate. Now I can do the protection stuff.
So some good examples of when you might want to cleanse something spiritually: a new business place, a new house, maybe even a car, right? I mean, you spend a lot of time in your vehicle, and statistically speaking, driving is one of the most dangerous things we do. And funny enough, going back to Christianity, I know a lot of people who, when they're getting in their vehicle or they're doing long trips, they'll do the sign of the cross. They're Catholic, but it's their little way to protect themselves and say like, hey, I want to have safe travels. I want to make it there safely. But it's almost a ritual, but a habit more than anything.
It is protection magic. I was going to mention that next. A lot of people doing the sign of the cross, or back in Greek Roman times, petitioning Hermes, aka Mercury, and saying, please watch over me, because that energy is like the energy or the deity of transportation and safe travels. So,
or the big plot point in Mulan when she was about to go into war and she petitioned her ancestors, and her ancestors sent Mushu to protect her.
Yeah, a lot of folks believe that their ancestors are like angels watching over them, or if people believe in guardian angels, just invoking them and saying like, hey, be on alert as I'm about to do this thing.
A little bit of a side tangent, because we are kind of around the Day of the Dead celebrations. If you are invoking maybe your ancestors to protect you or your guardian angels, is there a special transactionary thing that you can do to pay them back or give them an offering to say thank you for protecting me?
I think it depends on your belief system. If you are Catholic, Christian, sort of religions, normally you only give thanks to God, and that's who you pray to.
The Catholics do pray to the saints, though, right?
Yes, but I grew up Catholic. You only, from my understanding and what I remember, you only ask your angel to do something. You don't necessarily like thank them that they did their job.
It's a thankless job.
There's a movie coming out about that.
Really?
About a guardian angel.
Yes, that's right. I want to see it. Yes.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves, Aziz Ansari.
Maybe we go watch it after this because I actually do want to see it. Yeah. Okay, so.
But, for example, in more, I would say, African diaspora religions, I've seen a lot of ancestor altars where they give thanks by offering alcohol, tobacco, chocolate, stuff like that. With Hermes, there's like icons of turtles, strawberries, or even just saying thank you for watching over me.
Have you heard of the buttered toast theory?
No.
So it is the theory that, I guess in this case, because we're talking about guardian angels, all connected to that, but it's the theory that, let's say you're running late to work and you drop your buttered toast and then that makes you late to work. But you being late was like a godsend or a miracle, because if you had been on time, you would have been hit by a car or something. So it's a roundabout way of protection that you're not even aware of. And it seems to be with not nuances. What am I thinking? Like annoying things. So you might think like, oh, this is annoying, or there's traffic or gridlock, or I'm running late, or I dropped something. But that's the universe's way of actually protecting you. So it's a very interesting like thought, and they call it the buttered toast theory.
Yeah, we definitely say in the witchy community that redirection is protection. The most extreme example that I could tell you is my art teacher in middle school claims that she was supposed to be on one of the flights during 9/11, and she really wanted to get to wherever, but she got sick, and she was very annoyed that she was sick and had to miss her flight. This was pre-COVID, where even if you were sick, you still went around a lot of people. But that redirection was her protection. However, I hear many stories about this. I just saw a guy on social media that said that his mom decided not to go to work and that she was spared from 9/11. So I don't know. These are all anecdotal, but that is definitely a more extreme example that I could think of. Speaking of travel, and speaking of blessings and prayers, some folks actually get their cars blessed by priests, or motorcycles blessed by priests, so that they have safe travels. I work and evoke a lot of Mercury energy because I also am very on the go. And I would say, whether it's me tapping into my highest self and the best defensive driver I can be, or it actually is an energy, I should have been in so many accidents that I was not in. And very recently, I went to a friend's event and I parked on the street and I had a weird feeling in my stomach, but I still did it. And when I came out, I saw that there was a pileup. Someone ran into a car, that car hit another car, that car hit another car. And my car was spared by like this
You
much.
were the last car in the chain, or the car behind you was the last car in the chain, and you were spared.
And I sent David a picture of that.
That was very interesting for sure. All right, so let's talk about the preventative part of this. What are some things people can do? What can our listeners engage in to have that protective magic that we're talking about?
Crystals are a very intro friendly way to do it, whether it's actually having like the crystal on you in the form of jewelry, putting a crystal in your car. Side note, I saw someone like hot glue a lot of crystals on their steering wheel where the airbag comes out of.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's very dangerous.
The black crystals like tourmaline, obsidian, onyx are very good for protection magic. What I have on right now is the first piece of protective jewelry that I bought and ordered, and I love it. Luckily, it has not busted on me, even though it is very old. I want to get it restringed, but it is garnet and obsidian beads. So I definitely feel, and an owl charm. So I definitely feel protected when I wear it. I don't know what this black stone is, but it also makes me feel protected when I wear it. Speaking of crystals, if you put a crystal not on the steering wheel where the airbag comes out of, but maybe like in a side pocket or in your glove compartment, that could be a way that you could also use crystals to help you. Speaking of all the jewelry, other types of jewelry, like I have evil eye earrings that I like to wear when I'm just like not sure. We already talked about crystals. Wearing black is very grounding and very protective. I like to wear black, period, and then like loudly accessorize.
Yes.
That's what I like to do, and why a lot of witches wear black too.
Your bracelet that you just shared, is that something that you wore for this episode, or is that something you would wear normally?
I would wear it normally, but I definitely wore it for this episode because I wanted to show it off.
And it was your first protection jewelry. Where did you get it?
I got it online from a small creator who she rebranded so many times I don't remember her name, and we lost contact, so I don't even know how to thank her or get back in contact with her. But I told her what I wanted. I gave her my dimensions and she made it, and I really, really appreciate it. It was very high quality.
So it was a customized piece.
It was a custom piece.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That also reminded me of something that we have also talked about with newborns or mothers with the red string.
Oh, yeah.
And supposedly if the red string breaks, it's a good thing, or it snaps, it's a good thing, because that means it took the hit essentially for what was supposed to cause you harm, correct?
I've heard the same thing about jade bracelets, like the solid jade bracelets that are one piece.
Yes, yeah, the one piece.
Yes, when I was a senior in high school, my family went to Hawaii and I bought one of those jade bracelets and it broke on me. But even though I wasn't fully witchy back then, I understood that concept. So when it broke, I didn't feel as sad.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, what else can people do?
Plants are great protectors. They are little bodyguards. If you have rosemary or aloe vera outside of your doorway, property, it can act as a deterrent and a protector. And if you notice that these protection plants start to sort of get sick or die, it could show that there is like a constant stream of negative energy coming your way, and you may want to investigate what that is.
They're almost like spiritual CO2 detectors.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I think that Moonchild here in Merced, that's one of the things I noticed. I believe they have a rosemary plant outside their door. I'm not 100% sure. Infinity Coven does have some plants outside of their door as well. And I think I mentioned rosemary or aloe to Zia. I don't remember if she has it or not. But yeah, not only is it nice and decorative and purifying the air, it is also protective.
Okay. And I don't know, this to me seems like it would be preventative, but maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I'll bring it up anyways. I've seen you do like sage or smoking, like not smoking sage, but burning sage, or doing up like a perimeter thing. I guess that's both preventative and proactive or reactionary.
I think it depends on the intention behind it. So very recently, I did cleanse our home because, as we mentioned, the 100th episode, we had someone come and start arguing with David about basically us and how evil we are that we celebrate Halloween.
Yes.
So I
Was that during our 100th episode that
it
we
was
talked about
very
it?
close to it, yes. So I decided to clean the property of the negative energy.
But I guess that could be both, right? Because you could do that beforehand.
Yeah. So it's like it was reactionary because of the situation.
Okay. And then the last thing for preventative magic that I don't see in my notes, but what about salt?
Yes, salt is also protective and purifying. There was a movie that we saw that what was
Weapons.
it?
It was called Weapons.
Was it?
With the witch?
And she had a salt perimeter?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
yeah.
So, salt is also protective. Those are some of the things you could do around the home. Some people... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, the last thing of preventative, and I know we have talked about this, but I thought this concept was so cool. We went to like a witchy crystal shop in Colorado one time, and they curse everything in their store. Mm-hmm. And when you go check out, they put protection salt on it or whatever. They break the curse when you check out, and that's their way to protect their inventory. It's like their spiritual security tag. So everything in their store is cursed. So if you steal it, you're fucked. But when you check out, just how they remove the magnet thing, they remove the curse, right?
Yes, I remember that as well. Yeah, that's also one way to do it, sort of having like a spiritual security tag on it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we talked about the preventative stuff, but now I can't wait to get into the reactionary stuff because I think that's where the juiciness is, and we'll talk about that after these messages.
Today's episode is brought to you by us, Kythera Collective. If you've been vibing with the energy of the show, then you're going to love the Kythera Club over on Patreon. It's a space that I built for the cosmic, the curious, and the slightly chaotic. You know who you are. With 3 delicious tiers to choose from, we start with the chocolate level at $4 a month, which gains you access to weekly horoscopes and the exclusive Unhinged podcast, where I say things that don't make it to this main feed. It's sweet, it's spicy, and it's just for you. Next, we have the cafe level at $7 a month. This is where things really start to get cooking. You'll receive access to exclusive workshops, monthly virtual hangouts, and a private Discord community where you can chat directly with me and receive exclusive behind-the-scenes updates. It's magical, cozy, and a little unhinged in the best way. Finally, we have the tequila level. This is the VIP lounge. At $25 a month, you'll receive everything from the previous tiers, plus a personal 15-minute one-on-one session with myself or David each month, and discounts if you want to extend the session. It's a whole vibe and a powerful way to receive personalized guidance. So if you've been laughing along with us, crying or rage screaming in agreement, come hang out with us at the Kythera Club. Head over to patreon.com/JenCalo and choose your tier. If you want to sponsor an episode and advertise with us, go to our website, www.jencalo.com. All right, now back to the show.
Alrighty, welcome back. So now let's talk about when shit does hit the fan and you do need to protect yourself. We've mentioned it as a reactionary or reactive. But before we get into that, I kind of want to talk a little bit about how do you know when something's happened to you? I know you've been asked in your practice to check if somebody's been cursed or somebody wishes them, ill intent. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I think it's important to take accountability, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt to also protect yourself in case someone is throwing some shade and negative energy your way. So I'd say do both at the same time. I would really say that divination tools are great for this. So doing the egg reading, go to someone that knows how to do it, didn't just learn on TikTok. Someone that does a tarot reading, etc. That could help.
You haven't done egg readings yet, right? Side tangent.
No, because I don't feel comfortable doing them especially in this space because we don't have access to running water and it's kind of messy.
Yeah.
Luckily, eggs aren't as expensive as they were a few years ago. But yeah, while you diagnose and think about like, is it me? Am I the drama? Am I causing my own misery? You could also protect against external forces at the same time. Why not both? Maybe it is both, you know? One thing that I want to mention before the reactionary protective magic, there are things called wards, which are different like objects that are meant to protect your home. One of the best ways that I've seen a ward used is something that one of my clients maybe a year ago told me about. She acknowledges that she likes to date. She likes experiencing a lot of different energy, and that is fine.
She likes life.
She likes life, but not all energy is good energy. So she made a protective ward with Medusa's energy, and she said, Medusa, I'm gonna be honest, I like to fuck. So if this person is nefarious and worse energy than just like a typical hookup, make them physically ill so that we can't hook up or make them impotent. And she put it under her bed, and there were a few hookups where they were not successful. They were like all of a sudden feeling sick, and they said they had to leave or they couldn't get it up.
Okay, well, we are a very progressive podcast, so I also want to throw in the PSA of, you know, Lil Wayne's quote of safe sex is good sex. So make sure to also use actual protection. I mean, do what you want, right?
Yeah,
we're not here to tell you, but this is a good PSA for using actual protection.
But that was one of the most interesting physical wards that I've ever heard of.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah.
And honestly, no judgment about like going around and you know, like enjoying life. It is interesting though that person had the cognition or the wherewithal to say, this is the type of life I'm engaging with. I want to have fun and I want to enjoy it, but I also want to be safe.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were also probably using protection. If they were using spiritual protection, they were most likely using actual protection.
We love a self-aware queen. Yes, we do. But yes, let's talk about reactionary protective magic. So this is in reaction to something, right? So definitely always cleanse first. And like we mentioned, we have a cleanses episode, so you can listen to that. But you want to reset the base energy.
Yes.
Because if you still have the negative attachments on you, whether you believe negative attachment is just like you being wound up about the situation or a literal negative attachment, whatever it is, you need to reset yourself so you can pave a new way forward.
Now, when you say cleanse first, you mean physically cleanse, right?
I would suggest physically and spiritually, which we've talked about in the cleanses episode.
So just to recap, so for example, if you are cleansing a space, you would suggest clean it first physically and then do the spiritual cleansing. Or if you're cleansing yourself, are you saying maybe take a shower? Or
yeah, or if you literally just took a shower, like wash your hands, something. I'm in a Mars ruled year, being 30 as a Libra rising, which means that this year I am more likely to be angry or have more conflict. So what my astrologer told me...
So the haters are really out there.
For me this year, a little bit. So what my astrologer told me was when I have these very strong feelings and I feel like I'm going to pop off, I need to shower, or if it's too soon to shower, like if I showered 2 hours ago or something, you know, like wash my hands, do something. Okay. So yeah, clean and cleanse yourself in some way, and then you're ready to do the protection work. One of the ways, if you're having conflict with a known person, like you know who the hater is, you know who is sending you these bad vibes, is a freezer spell. So
I've seen you do that.
And we have one in the freezer right now.
Oh, we do? Okay. Yeah. Never mind. I have seen you do one. I didn't know we had an active one right now.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I know what it's for, and I don't really think we're going to talk about it, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I discovered, this was years ago when we were in Santa Maria, I went to the freezer to get something, and I was like, what the fuck is this? It was a jar, and it was like frozen. I will say though, cautionary tale, be careful with freezing jars, especially if there's liquid in there. So quick physics lesson, there's 4 states of matter, but the 2 I'm going to talk about are liquid and solids. So in a solid state, I'm sorry, in a liquid state, the liquid will take the shape of the container, but in a solid state, it hardens and could expand. So be very careful when freezing liquid in glass because it can shatter.
Yeah. I did a
Unless that's what you're supposed to do.
No. Okay. I did a Ziploc bag. Some people are like, I don't want waste, I'll use a glass jar.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm gonna toss this. So I did a Ziploc bag. I made sure that it closed, But yeah, a very quick freezer spell that you could do is, and this is like basic, you don't need to buy a bunch of stuff, just get a piece of paper, write like the person's name down 3 times, fold it away from you, and then once you folded it into like a square, on the top of it write your intention, like leave me alone or whatever it is, and then you put it in the vessel, in my case a Ziploc bag, and you put the water on it, and then you stick it in the freezer, and that's supposed to cool them off. If you want it a little more spicy, you could put it in like vinegar, something acidic, to sort of also have a
and that's called the sour jar, right?
Yeah, to have it be a little bit more
rusty nails.
Yeah, paybacky. It's mixing protection with baneful magic, but I think if someone is messing with you, you have the right to defend yourself, and not just in a peaceful way. Like if it requires a little aggression,
I don't want peace.
I don't want peace. Yes,
I want violence.
So up to you how you want to do it, but just the quick like paper water, like your very, very basic freezer spell, if that's what you want to do.
I remember another one you did in Santa Maria where there was a neighbor you did not like, and you walked by and I think threw salt in their direction.
No, yes, but I think I did black salt, which was also ash and salt and like all these other things. I don't even remember what I put in
You
it.
hit him with the pocket sand.
Yes, we were having issues with a neighbor. I've had issues with several.
You have a lot of issues with people. Why are you so problematic?
I don't start things, but I finish them. I also bought a banishing oil, oh my god, years ago, back in like 2019, and I still have it because I don't use it a lot, but I have also used banishing oil on like doors or like shared walls and been like begun. And it has worked, in my opinion. So.
Let me ask you something. Okay. Let's say this stuff works, right? And let's say somebody did something to you or perceives that they did something to you and you did your little magic. And this person ends up getting hurt. And actually there's like a pretty big consequence to it. And let's say, for all intents and purposes, we're talking about protection magic. It was because of something that you did as a retaliation or a reaction. Would you feel guilty?
Well, one, I wouldn't know that I am the cause of it. Like, how would we know? We would never know, in my opinion. Like,
okay, but then what's the point of doing it then?
For them to leave you alone and to protect your peace. It's not like banish them and have them get in a car accident. It's like literally leave me alone. Stop bothering me.
Okay, so for example, the thing you mentioned before the break where this person put the Medusa head under their bed, and you can kind of correlate, if you believe in magic, that the people who couldn't get it up or were sick, that protection magic was working, right? Mm-hmm. So like, let's say you do a sour jar and that person gets sick like right away or something happens, right? Okay, let's say you do a banishing spell for a coworker and that coworker gets fired and their life goes to shit. Like, would you feel bad?
No, at that point.
Oh my gosh.
At that point, it's karmic. Like, why did you mess with me?
Okay. Like, you're like a porcupine. Like, you're cute and you have your nice little coils down, but like when you do get pissed, you get all porcupiney and spiky and.
That is a good way to describe it. I mean, okay, when I have done banishing spells, I always say, I don't want anything bad to happen to you. That's how I started.
Okay, we'll say that before you get into this. You're kind of seeming a little intense.
I don't want anything bad to happen to you, but I do want you to leave me alone. But sometimes there are some people that don't get a hint, and you just kind of have to have karma come back around to them. And at that point, it's a product of their own creation. It's also called transmutation, actually, which is not necessarily protection magic, but something I wanted to touch on. Like, let's say you have someone hating on you. You do a spell that's like, for every negative comment or hater, like let's say you went viral and all of a sudden you're getting inundated with trolls. Like, for every troll that comments on my stuff, I am going to gain 10 legit followers. I don't know, something like that. So you transmute that negative energy. That's also something else that is not necessarily protection magic, but it's like the cherry on top of this whole thing. So you have to start with identification. So you have some sort of divination, probably, unless it's right in your face and you know where this is coming from. So you have divination, you have cleansing, you have protecting, and then after that, if you want to do transmutation, that's like the final step.
That reminds me of a story that I heard of a way Planned Parenthood was dealing with the protesters. I think there was a group, it wasn't Planned Parenthood directly, but it was like a group that was like pro Planned Parenthood. And what they did is they pledged a certain amount of money for each protester. So let's say like $5 for each protester that's out there. So the more protesters that came, the more money was pledged for Planned Parenthood. And obviously they made it clear to the protesters, like, hey, like, the more people you bring, the more money we're going to pledge to Planned Parenthood. And then the protesters were put in the dilemma of like, do I want to protest Planned Parenthood? But if I show up in a way, I'm kind of weirdly supporting them. Yeah,
that's a good physical transmutation. yeah, definitely. And then again, reactionary, like, there's reactionary cleansing and preventative cleansing, right? Like a cleansing where it's like, I don't know who was in this cubicle before me, but I don't want their energy to rub off on me. Or it's like, I do know who was there, let me cleanse it. So,
and we talked about that example in our cleanses episode, which was years ago now. But you had a situation a few jobs ago where you went into a like your cubicle, and one of your coworkers was like, "Oh my gosh, I wanted to like spiritually cleanse this place for you, but I didn't have the time."
That was episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2. Holy shit!
That was episode 2. So if you want to hear that, yeah,
that was in 2023, 2 years ago. That was a good story though.
Yeah. Special mentions. There are like resetting sprays, banishing sprays. I remember the spray that I used on top of so many other cleansing methods was a spray from a hoodoo practitioner that my friend gifted me, and it had like tobacco in it. Like, it smelled really strong. I was like, my staff are gonna think I was smoking cigars up in here, but it was fine. It was probably like the least problematic thing to happen if I was.
I like a good cigar.
But yeah. So yeah, there are sprays. There are so many ways to cleanse and protect. These are just a few. Ultimately, you need to do what resonates with you, because if you don't believe in it, if you're like, this is kind of whack, this is kind of weird, like, then there's no point. You have to buy into it with your energy.
I saw another meme that was like, all crystals are protection crystals if you throw them hard enough.
Honestly, yeah. Very true.
All right, what about the smoke stuff? You love your Palo Santo, you love your sage, you love...
Okay, asterisk. I don't want to put it out there that I love sage. I am neutral about sage.
You love sage.
No.
And you harvest it unethically.
That is what I wanted to talk about. If you are going to get sage or Palo Santo, make sure it is ethically sourced. I'm very particular about sage. I have never bought sage for myself. All my sage has been gifted to me.
Well, somebody bought it.
Okay, well, at that point, what am I going to do? Throw it in the trash? It's already been harvested. But white sage is particular and specific to indigenous groups and their ancestral medicine, and unfortunately through popularization it's been over harvested. It's been taken from these indigenous groups, so we want to cut back on our consumption or make sure that it is not harming indigenous groups or the plant itself. There's such a thing as over harvesting, and we have definitely over harvested white sage. So yeah.
So you love sage?
Just know where you're getting it from. It smells great, but I don't buy sage for white sage at all for myself. But if someone gives it to me at that point, it's like, what am I gonna do? Throw it in trash.
And Palo Santo?
And Palo Santo, same thing. It's being over harvested at this point. It is special to like indigenous folks in Latin America, the Caribbean, places like that, South America. So yeah, just know where you're buying your Palo Santo from.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Very interesting episode. Anything else to close out the subject of protection magic?
Again, the best protection magic is...
Don't be a dick. It's the best protection magic.
Number one, yes.
Be nice. Don't get your haters out there.
And then number two, common sense. And this from my Bay Area people, like, don't leave your laptop in plain sight. You're gonna get
blipped.
You're gonna get blipped, which is when people shatter your window and steal your shit. So yeah, the best protection magic is common sense. But yeah, my biggest protection magic things are jewelry and petitioning Hermes for safe travels.
Do you have any protection like for us?
Yeah, I do some home stuff every once in a while as well.
What is it for?
So we don't get weirdos showing up to our house, which we were going to talk about that. But long story short, there was kind of a weird mentally unwell person that let us know that they have our address. So I definitely did some protection stuff, and I also cleansed my phone. But then I have a Medusa medallion that I've been sleeping with because all of these messages were at like 3 a.m. So
I want to be very clear. I can still perform.
Yes, not Medusa for that. Yeah, very specific Medusa. Medusa, and you are still. Think about that. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, this was a fun episode. I really enjoyed more of the pragmatism. I think our community likes that kind of thing because it's things that they can incorporate into their daily life. And I know they like it because we've had comments saying, because of this episode, I do this now. So go and protect yourself.
In all the ways. We have some comments from the Afterlife episode from Instagram. So the first one was wildwillowco.krista, who was a guest. Go check out her episode. I think my grandma sends me signs as a magpie, which is extra ironic because she hated that bird with a passion. I think it's an inside joke. I definitely believe your grandma sending you an inside joke for sure. And then the Zion Witch on Instagram. I feel my ancestors with me more now that they have crossed over than when they were here on this plane, which is actually a comment that I've heard a lot, that some people like
feel more in touch.
Yeah, and maybe like in real life, like the trauma, they just had more arguments, they just couldn't connect, but once they crossed over, there was like that peace, you know?
Well, you kind of had a moment yesterday. It's maybe a little personal, but I think you don't mind sharing.
Yeah,
but during the parade, there was a section that walked by, and it was like a senior living home, but it was like Hispanic or like Latino seniors, and they were dressed in like folklorico dances, and I think it just reminded you of your grandma and like all that, right?
Yeah. I just think it's so great that they have like extracurricular activities that that area has a nonprofit called Alas, and they have like a senior enrichment program. And I just remember like when I was younger, there wasn't as much like Latino representation, and it's nice to see these like seniors having like nice,
it was so cute.
Yeah,
it was
nice
really cute.
recreational activities that are relevant to their cultural background.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and maybe get some protection magic or find out if they have a hater, how can they do that?
Yes, get in touch. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky at Giancarlo and giancarlo.com. If you like the show, remember to rate it, give it 5 stars, and share it with a friend who might also enjoy this information.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching today's episode.
Remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be, and signing off. Bye.